Hello, I'm Samuel and you're watching Regent Park TV. In the heart of Regent Park, local youth are getting the chance to build money skills and entrepreneurial confidence through a new in-person program hosted at the Regent Park Community Center. The Youth Financial Literacy and Entrepreneurship Program is part of an initiative led by the Financial Literacy and Entrepreneurship Society Hub, or F.L.E.S.H, a multifaceted nonprofit that focuses on providing culturally relevant and socially responsive financial education. F.L.E.S.H offers both online and in-person workshops, mentorship, and community support programs designed especially for people who identify as Black, Indigenous, women, persons of color, or 2S LGBTQIA+. By bringing this program to Regent Park, F.L.E.S.H is helping young residents gain real-world financial knowledge, from budgeting and saving to understanding credit and starting their own business ventures. It's about making financial literacy simple, accessible, and inclusive, while encouraging youth to think creatively about their futures. This partnership reflects on an ongoing effort to strengthen community capacity and economic empowerment in Regent Park, especially among young people who are shaping the neighborhood's next generation of leaders and innovators. Here's a look inside the Youth Financial Literacy and Entrepreneurship Workshop held recently at Regent Park Community Center.
I'm Gabrielle Rubain. Right now, I work in the music industry as my normal day job. Grew up here in Regent Park, and somehow was able to survive, and I get to work in the music industry. One thing that helped me in my life was, talking to folks and understanding some concepts that weren't readily available to me as a youth, like financial literacy. And, being an entrepreneur, whether you're a hustler, whether you're working at Foot Locker, whether you're, selling something online, there's certain skills that you got to know to be able to, as you get older, to be able to make a sustainable career for yourself and to build wealth and to break generational curses. And one of those ways is by understanding financial literacy. And shout out to all my mentors who took the time to explain certain things to me. And it's just basically a lifelong skill. I'm in no means at all like a millionaire, but I'm getting there one day. Right? It is possible. Right? Home ownership is possible, being an entrepreneur is possible, getting a car is possible, pulling your family out of whatever is possible, and just striving to be the best that you can be as possible, no matter your circumstances. And it all really starts with, having the right language sometimes, and just having a conversation, and just, having folks like us show up and show you a little something, and then you take it from there. So yeah, that's all I'm really going to say. I'm going to let Brandy and everybody else introduce themselves and talk a bit about our company.
Absolutely. So my name is Brandy Skinner. I am also a co-founder, Northside Parker for Life, 1982 baby, 274 Sackville Street, all day, all night. Growing up here, we had our challenges. One of the things that I could say is, in my experience, there's those that have the knowledge and access, and then there was us. And we didn't have it. We didn't have the knowledge, we didn't have the skills, nobody wanted to take the time to teach us, and we didn't have those type of services and programs like other communities did. And now we're here, and we have the opportunity to learn and to have the supports and accessibility that we never once had. So we're here because we started this organization. At first, we were going to be for profit, but we realized our audience was us, and we don't have access to wealth. So we decided we were going to redo our business model and come up with one that's like a social enterprise. So we combine not-for-profit, so all of our programs and services are always free. But we also do social enterprises where we support the initiation and development of Black and Brown, Indigenous, and people of color businesses for free. So we can help you do that. But the main point is financial literacy, because you can't do anything until you understand the numbers, until you understand how the system works. And if you learn how it works, you can work it and make your money work for you and stop working for money.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's for real. We have two other speakers with us, so we'll let them introduce themselves also before we kind of jump into it as well.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Harpreet Gill. I grew up in Jane, so not here, but similar struggles and issues in this, in the community that I grew up in. I always had a passion to give back and to make an impact on a systemic level, so I decided to go into social work. That's what I did for 17 years. Thought I was going to fight the power and all the good stuff. But you start to realize it's an uphill battle. You can make individual impact, but making systemic change is so hard. And at one point I was like, girl, you just gotta get your life together. Like, you need to get out of debt. You need to figure out how to save to buy your first home. And at the time I was working 5 jobs because I knew that my one job was not gonna allow me to do that. So I figured if I was gonna be doing that, I wanted to make sure I make the right financial decisions and choices. And I decided to go to the bank to go speak to a financial advisor, ask a few questions, and I would tell you no word of a lie, in less than 2 minutes, they told me to come back when I had $60,000 in my bank account, and they'll talk to me then. And that was another reality check, slap in the face, that there's so many barriers in the system that are designed for us to stay where we're at. And financial literacy really isn't hard. It's just that it hasn't been accessible to us, and the mindset is in scarcity, so we always think that we can't when we really can. So I started to kind of educate myself, and honestly, the more I educated myself, the more fascinated I became with this understanding of building wealth, and I decided to switch careers. I got licensed to become a financial advisor, and I'm the founder of my own company called Affluence Creators Group, and I'm grateful to have met these ladies here because we have similar values and goals, and we decided that we're going to do some stuff together. Yes.
That was a great introduction. Oh, again, I'm not looking at for those of you who heard me, again, I was the guy that bored you a little earlier. My name is Jules. I'm a music producer, educator. I'm based out of Runnymede, St. Clair, so I'm not as cool as you Regent kids. But in terms of where my journey starts, so for me, it starts with going into music for myself. My family comes from a deep background of gospel singers and recording artists, so we started our roots there. I came out at some point wanting to do things for myself, so I obviously love to do music. And it wasn't until it was Drake's producer who mentored me, so 40/40, and got me the idea about don't just need to rap. I can also move and invest into the idea of being a producer. And then from producing is where I really got into the idea of education and how to marry that. So that started with workshops, creating programs for music production, Boys and Girls Club and other organizations within the Toronto area and just outside as well. And I think now where my journey is taking me is kind of just collaborating and being part of F.L.E.S.H as well in regards to bringing the type of information that I think a lot of us do need. And more importantly, I think the faces that you see, it's very important. No word of a lie, if you can see us, I hope that in some way you can do it. So I think it's very important when you see these faces in the room, understand that these are supposed to be the faces of success. And I don't see any reason why, again, based on where we are in this actual community, for example, we're just up the street, come check us anytime, any place. In regards to today, I hope we kind of give you some sort of inspiration or a greater understanding of what's going on. But that's kind of my little tidbit there. And if you ever want to hear the long drawn out pastor story, I have no problems bringing it to you.
Some of the goals is basically to understand how money works. And we don't have enough time to go through everything, but we picked up some things that we think would be really good and for y'all to learn. We're gonna go through budgeting, saving, and credit, exploring business registration for y'all who are entrepreneurial minded and may want to pick that up one day, or already thinking about what you want to do now as a side job, right? And we've got these printouts to help you kind of go back and look at stuff on your own, and everybody needs to know how to calculate your credit if you end up getting a credit card. So if you ever need to end up getting a credit card, just pull out those papers and make sure you do your calculations so you're not getting screwed over, right? So, all right, next slide, please. So here's a question for you, basically. If you found $100 on the ground walking, right? What would you do first? Would you save it? Would you spend it? Would you invest it? Or would you treat someone? So who would save it? Show by hands, you'd save it? All right. And this is a subjective question. It doesn't matter, right? Right? I would save it too. I'd be like, yeah. Or who would spend it? And it's subjective, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay. I'm being as honest as I can. I know myself. It's not in my budget already. Even though I know I should be saving it. And that's that mindset about money.
But see, it also could be like what mood you're in that day. You might want to treat someone.
That part.
Or you might have a bad day and you want to treat yourself.
Yes,
Right? And then when you spend 100, everything else has to go after that. Sorry. That's usually how it goes.
That's very true.
And so so when we say invest, who would invest it? Who would maybe, let's say, put it into a savings account that is building interest? Or who would maybe buy something, I don't know, buy a couple baseball caps and like flip that and like sell those baseball caps and then you make yourself an extra $50? Who would invest it?
Not one investor in the room. I don't believe this.
It's all good. It's all good. Did somebody hold their hand up? Did I miss something? Oh, no. No. Oh, okay. And who would treat someone? I think I would either save it or I would like buy something for my mom or like, you know, like help my mom out maybe would be something I would do. But who would treat somebody? Oh, it's like that, eh? It's like that, eh? A cold group of folks, eh? No. All right. It's all good. That was just for fun. Okay, next slide. Whoop. Yeah, I just got to be careful with the wire because the guy said the wire's sketchy. So, anyways, when it comes to money, you got to talk about your income streams, right? So there's different income streams. It's like allowance, OSAP, bursaries, part-time jobs, freelance gigs, selling used clothing, selling wholesale items, automated income. When we say income, like it could be a variety of different things. Here's my question to y'all though. Like, does anybody know about automated income in here? Or have any ideas of what they think automated income is in the world of digital, in the digital space now? Okay, so one of the things that is very popular is automated income. So basically that's like Shopify, right? So let's say you got a little Shopify store and you buy some sunglasses, wholesales, you find that $100, right? And this would be the investment part. You take that $100, you buy a couple of sunglasses, $100 worth of sunglasses, or maybe $70 worth of sunglasses. You set up a Shopify store, that's your other $30, so that's your whole $100 there. And then you're able to sell those sunglasses on your store. And so if you've got a little Instagram account or TikTok account, then you can start kind of promoting yourself that you're selling these sunglasses, and eventually you're like that. If somebody's clicking on that Instagram post, let's say that's an ad, then it's like boom, somebody's bought a pair of sunglasses. That could happen at any point in time. You could be in your bed sleeping and somebody from the US might want to buy your sunglasses. So when we think about automated income, it's income that is coming in at any point in time that you've kind of set up a process for somebody to purchase that, and it's digital, right? So yeah, specifically we're talking about digital. So that's automated income and different income streams. So another essential part of understanding just basic financial literacy skills is income, and then it's needs versus wants. So basically, needs are essentials, and wants are things you don't really need, right? So like we've got like essentials is like you got to feed yourself, you got to pay your phone bill, right? You got to get your Metro Pass, Presto Pass, sorry, right? Used to be tokens back in my days. School supplies, those are all things that you need. So when we start talking about budgets, you got to really be thinking like, what is it that I need versus what is it that I want, right? Like streaming services, snacks. Do you really need that McDonald's today? Or can that go towards something else? Some kind of gadget that's cheap, that's gonna break. Do you really need that? I'm not really gonna get into clothes and this and that because, that's subjective, right? But in the context of what we're talking about, it's really important to understand what a need is versus a want, right? And we're gonna get a little bit more into that. All right. So when we talk about the needs versus wants, then we're gonna use a little bit of a different language here, which is called our fixed and our variable expenses, right? So when we talk about needs and wants, those are things that we're buying, right? You're buying McDonald's, you're buying your Metro Pass, you're buying your school supplies, you're paying your phone bill. So paying your phone bill is different from bus fare, for instance, right? Because paying your phone bill is something that you have to pay at the same time every single month. That is a fixed expense. Your rent, whether you pay your rent, your mom pays the rent, whatever, however that works, that is still a fixed expense. It's something that you mandatory have to pay at a specific time of the month every single month, right? Variable are things that you could buy at any certain time, right? So you go on entertainment. Oh, yo, you want to go to the movies? That could be at any time of day, right? Personal care items, hair gel, you gotta stay nice, nails. Those are all variable expenses. You could buy them at any point in time. And these two words are important when you're looking at your budget, though, right? Because you really want to be thinking, like, can I afford to pay for this? Can I afford to buy this thing? Am I saving for a specific reason? Do I need McDonald's that day? Can I afford to buy McDonald's that day? Am I hungry? How hungry am I? Like, you got to start thinking like that when we're talking about financial literacy, right? All right, so any questions about fixed versus variable expenses? No? Sounds pretty big. Yeah, see, it's financial literacy really ain't that confusing. Well, wait till we get a couple slides down. But yeah, so now we're gonna kind of get into creating a budget, simple budget. And y'all, most of you should have the printout there. There's an exercise for that. But basically the formula, and you don't really need to be good at math to understand a lot of this, but is your income, which we talked about. So like, let's say allowance or your OSAP coming in, minus your expenses, which could be your phone bill, which would be a fixed expense, and a variable, which would be what? Entertainment, right? So research has proven that if you could break things up like 50, 30, and 20, so 50 is your needs, 30 is your wants, so you could still do your entertainment, right? And then 20% is your savings, or what you got to pay into your debt if you have a visa or something, right? So yeah, so I think this is where Harpreet will take over. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, can you do this? So we'll get a little bit more into the 30, 50, 30, 20.
The time, but especially like during summer, if I'm working like almost every day, I just, as soon as I got paid, I would put the money, or like at the end of the month, I would like calculate.
Okay, I love that. Anybody else want to share maybe one more example? That's okay if you don't, that's okay. But yeah, there honestly are so many different formulas and methods and strategies that you can use to save, and everybody's situation is different. When you're young, I believe that's probably the best time to save the most as you possibly can, because you're gonna have, in typical situations, the least expenses. Like, I think back when I was in high school, I had to take care of my bus pass, I had to take care of my phone, and probably like my outside food. My parents were taking care of bills at home. I didn't really have to contribute until I got out of high school. But one of the ways that you want to think about if you're struggling with savings is this 50, 30, 20 formula. So if you're in a situation where you actually have a lot of needs, you might want to think about, out of your income, how much of that can you actually put away towards your actual needs? So 50%, you should try to stay within those means. Now, someone can tell me, hey, you know what? I earn $2,000 a month, but my rent is $1,200. Now, the question is, how do we turn that into a 50% down to 1,000 as opposed to 1,200? Say it louder, girl.
Find a new home. Live within your means.
Exactly. Now, I know, granted, it is expensive to live in Toronto, and it's hard to find a place for even $1,000. But this is where we have to strategize. Sometimes it means we have to sacrifice certain things in order for us to live within our means. That means maybe I have to rent a bedroom with shared accommodations as opposed to having a whole place to myself. Or getting a place with maybe one or two really close family members or trusted friends that you know that you can rely on, so we can cut the expenses down. I was literally having a conversation with my friend just like 2-3 weeks ago, and I said, girl, we're so stupid. Like, what were we doing with our whole lives? I'm almost 40. Like, we were hustling and bustling, and we were doing things separately when we could have collectively came together and probably gone so much further, because you can go far when you work together, right? So it's all about making those means within your circumstances, no matter how difficult it may seem, because you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. 30% on wants. Now, this is also subjective as well, but if you feel like, okay, you know what, every month I want to make sure that I have a certain amount of money that I could put away towards my wants, you should limit yourself to 30% maximum. And then when you put that 20% down to your savings or paying off your debt, you feel good. Because I think about it, I've been working since I was 15. The first few years, my mom forced me to save. She didn't even let me have my own bank account. I had to have a joint bank account with her. She said no debit card, none of that kind of stuff. But when I got handle of my own money, honestly, because I wear, like, for example, kid size, I was buying a pair of shoes like every month. I didn't need that, but I was doing it. And I was doing that for several years, okay? Until I got to the point where I was in my mid-20s and I'm like, I have all these shoes, but I only wear like a couple shoes throughout the year. And I have shoes in shoe boxes that are still fresh to this day. And I just gave it away to people in the community. And I think about it, I'm like, I could have actually put that away, invested it, or saved it, or whatever. And my future would have been so much better. So, sorry? I should have, but I have at the time, I'm a big-hearted person. I wasn't thinking about the profits. I was just thinking, you know what, I'm not using it. Let me just give it away to the people in the community. That was where my mind's at. But, maybe today I would have done something differently. Now, mind you, like I said, even though this is the rule of thumb, you can always change the numbers depending on your circumstances. Like, for example, when I was working my 5 jobs, I didn't need out of all the 5 jobs, 50% of that to go towards my needs. In fact, and at that time I was still living with my parents, so my needs wasn't 50%. It might have been like 30 or 40%. And my wants, because I was so determined to get to my certain goals, I brought my wants down to 10%. And then I put like 60%, 50% into my savings. So it can be changed around as well.
I was gonna say, one of the good things about that is like sometimes you don't even realize what you're spending. Right?
Yeah.
You don't even realize what you're spending. So just having like the thought of having these numbers in your mind, then you realize, yo, I'm spending way too little. Do I even need this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's not something that you have to stick to. It's something just to know, so that you know when you're going left. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
And honestly, another thing just to add to that is that we really have to raise our level of consciousness on the things that are our wants, because I don't know, we get to the point where we confuse some of our wants with our needs. So for example, today's generation, a phone would be more of a need comparison to maybe like 30 years ago, right? It was different. Now, if you need a phone, maybe a $30 phone plan versus a $100 phone plan. So now you have to determine, like, is it worth paying $100? Can you use that extra $70 to go somewhere else? And if so, then those adjustments need to be made. Because I see people's finances on a regular basis, and I would say more times than none, even when people are not making the greatest income, they're still spending a lot of money on things that are not actual needs, So we're gonna do a quick little activity. Sorry if you don't mind. If you look at this 50-30-20 budget sheet, what you'll see is four different income scenarios. So you'll just have to pick one. If you want to continue this on your own time, just because obviously we're limited for time, so we're only going to do one here. You can pick one of these. The last one is your own personal life experience. So depending on what your income is, then you have a category of different needs and wants. And all you got to do is go through this and identify which ones are needs, which ones are wants, and which one is supposed to be like a savings. And then you're going to calculate at the bottom the total amount that's going towards each category and how much of a percentage of that income is going towards that category. Sounds good? Cool.
How much time on the clock?
Let's say 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you guys need any help or if you have any questions, let me know, okay? What were some of the observations you guys made while doing this exercise? Did the needs meet the wants and the savings actually go to that 50-30-20 rule, or was it kind of all over the place? Close enough. So this is where we'll, like, obviously the numbers are not going to add up because the incomes are different in each scenario. But this is where, we have to make those adjustments and reevaluate. This is where you have to make those cutbacks. And I think this is what happens in real life, where we don't really realize where our money is going, how much is going where. But it takes time, honestly, to just look. We took 5 minutes, but if you worked on your own personal finances, let's say even 15 minutes a week, you would definitely see differences in your savings and your ability to put money away for the future.
Change coming in, you know that you have some savings accounts, right? So there's banking. Everybody knows what a checking account is, right? Does anybody not know what a checking account is? Yeah, exactly. So we're going to skip checking accounts because we all know what that is. But as youth, I will say, as youth, and if you're in school, you should be able to have a free checking account. And anybody tells you different, then you need to go to a different bank, first of all, right? Second of all, some checking accounts, once you're over 18, will charge you a fee, right? So just be aware of those things. But bank accounts like Simply, they're free. I use that bank account. They don't charge me anything. CIBC, on the other hand, will charge me anywhere between $6 and $16, right? So always try to get a free checking account. But moving on into savings, it's important not, Jules, if you could just mind that for me, yeah. It's important to understand different types of savings accounts, right? So basically, you got your tax-free savings account, and that's for folks that are 18 or older. We'll go into a little bit more in depth on the next slide. We got GICs. It's a guaranteed interest certificate, right? Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Acronyms always get me. Those are low risk, but you're guaranteed interest, right? And then you got my favorite, high interest savings accounts. And those are basically savings accounts that give you like a high amount of interest every month. And just going back to Simply accounts, they usually have a high interest savings, like, every November, because it's like financial literacy month. So every November they'll be like, oh, we're gonna give you 4.25 on your savings account for 4 months. And then it's like, oh, that's high interest, right? So sometimes these things are based on time spans, but it's important to know the difference between a regular savings account, which is very, very, very low interest, versus a high interest savings account. So if you already have a savings account and you go into the bank one day, don't be afraid to say, hey, do you guys have high interest savings accounts? Because those are two different bank accounts, right? And a lot of folks don't know that. You can have two savings accounts. So always, if you have a savings account, that's like your homework. If you come back to the next workshop, I'm gonna ask you, like, go understand there's a difference between savings account and high interest savings account. And a lot of banks have them. You just have to ask, okay? And then we got our RRSP, which is like retirement savings. That's for tax benefits. So if you're somebody who's working already, really and truly, you should open up one of these because life can catch up to you, right? You could be working for 10 years and then all of a sudden, I don't know, you have kids or a parent gets sick or something happens and you're not working, but then boom, 5 years later, you pick up and you're working again, right? So you never know when. So that basically is money that you can't really touch. You can't access it like a savings account, but it's basically meant for like your retirement fund, which you can pull out from it if you are in dire need, but then there's like a big fee that they will take from you. So basically retirement is like 65, right? I know that seems so far away, but the difference of putting $50 in a bank account in a retirement savings account now versus when you start when you're 40, that's like thousands and thousands of dollars difference. So if you're one of those people, you want to be looking ahead, right? That's the point of sharing this kind of knowledge. Is like, and you don't have to put $100. You could put whatever makes sense for you once you start talking to a financial advisor, like wonderful Harpreet over here, right? So we do have folks that will tell you more details about those things. So, and we'll get into compounding interest in another slide. So next slide, please. All right, so here we're gonna go a little bit more in depth, and for the sake of time, yeah, like try to read over this if you want another, like these are basic things that you can look up online as well, right? But the gist of it is a GIC is basically a term deposit guaranteed income certificate, because it's something that you have to put in, let's say you have $500. So you go to bank, you say, I want to open up a GIC. That's like from 1 year to like 7 years, and it's locked in to a specific interest rate. So you can't access that money, right? You can if there's an emergency, but there's a fee, so you don't really want to do that, right? So you take your $500, you say, you know what, I'm just going to try it for the year. And it's locked in, it's guaranteed, the stock market, this, that, all these things can happen, but the GICs are locked in a different way. It's a different type of investment than like the stock market investment. But it's low interest, but it's guaranteed and secured interest, okay? Yeah, so it's got typically 1 to 5 years, and it's low risk. So a tax-free savings account is different because, you know, the Canadian government, there's tax on everything, right? But a tax-free savings account basically means is that you can save your money in a tax-free savings account and it's not taxed when you want to pull it out, right? And you can withdraw at any time that you want. You do have to be 18. There are a few keys with it. Brandy may be able to touch a little bit more on how it affects like taxes per se. But basically, with a tax-free savings account, you do gain interest on it, right? And you can only put in $7,000 a year, right? So that's just a whole government thing because, you know, they're always trying to take everybody's taxes, so they cap you at a certain amount. But the reality is that even $1,000 to $7,000 is like, that's tax free, because at the end of the year when you have to do your taxes, if you're somebody who's working, the government wants to take your money, so you can actually use that to offset your taxes, right? Okay. Yeah, and it's good for long-term goals too, right? Like if, let's say you're ready to buy a car, right? Boom, then you put that money in your tax-free savings account. And you know when you pull that money out, it's you don't have to pay taxes on it, because like with your registered savings account, you've already paid the taxes, right? So my favorite high interest savings account, basically, as I was saying, it works like a regular savings account, but it earns higher interest.
This is her favorite account, by the way. Just want to let you know.
Yeah, that's right. That's that right. You gotta figure out what works for you, right? And so anyway, so the interest rates change. They're basically, sometimes they have different offers. So like, let's say you're banking with CIBC, right? You could go into CIBC and say, oh, I want to know about your high interest savings account. And they might tell you, well, right now we're only paying out 2%. But if you come back next month, we have a special on where we're going to be paying you out 4.5% of your money, 4.5% interest. So the way that the high interest savings account works is basically you don't have that, the savings, the interest rate fluctuates. It's always a little bit higher, but it does fluctuate. And you want to always be asking questions, because a lot of times you want to catch it. You want to inquire at the bank. You could inquire at different banks. You could not even have a bank account. And you could go into TD Bank but I don't have a bank account, but I want to open up a high interest savings account. So you don't have to be banking with any one specific bank. You can shop around, right? So it's important to keep note of these things, because maybe now you'll see if you've got an app, let's say if you bank with CIBC, you might see now they'll say, oh, special, go into your offers, go into the app, go into the offers. It might show you, yo, there's a high interest savings account offer. It only lasts up until, what month are we in? It only lasts up until February. So from now till February, if you click on that, it's going to automatically open up your high interest savings account. If you're banking with CIBC and you went into your offers in the app, it's going to automatically register you for it. And then you're going to be registered for that 6 months worth of high interest, right? So you got to keep note of these things and look at your offers in the app with the bank that you're already banking with, or you go into a different bank and you could just ask them and they have to tell you. It's public knowledge, right? So yeah, so that's the gist of it. Does anybody have any questions about that? No, it's pretty straightforward, right? You're a smart group, yeah. All right, next. Yes, okay. So now that we got down the different types of savings accounts, you really want to be thinking about your credit. Everybody's heard of credit history, right? Yeah? Has anybody not heard about credit history? No? Okay. Okay, so, excuse me. So basically, your credit history is your credit score. And Equifax, TransUnion, these are corporate banking entities that track everybody's credit history or spending history. And that accumulates to like your credit rate. So TransUnion is attached to all different banks. So whether you know your credit history or not, it's being tracked, okay? And it can range from 300 to 900. And it's important it's not like maybe right now you don't need to worry about your credit score and how you can actually use it and how it can benefit you right now. But the idea is to keep your credit score going up so that when you're ready and you know that you want to get financing for your first car, they're going to pull your credit score, right? So that's really important to understand. So when you think about your credit score, these numbers is basically mine. I'm going to give you an example. So my credit score when I first started looking at it was like 400. I was like, shit, like, excuse my French. I didn't pay my bills on time. So it's also connected to your phone bill. So if your phone bill is under your name or it's under a parent's name, if you're not paying that phone bill on time, that is actually being reported to the credit bureau. So you gotta keep on top of your phone bills and by paying it on time because it actually will affect you even if you don't have a credit card, right? If you have a checking account and you only got $20 in your checking account and you spend $25 of your checking account, now you're in a negative of $5, right? If you don't pay back that $5 of your checking account, it gets reported to your credit score. So those are some ways right now that your credit score can actually be affected right now, right? And not even having to have a visa, right? So basically mine was pretty low. And then somebody's like, man, you gotta get on Credit Karma. So I downloaded the app and I was like, oh, this is low. Like, what am I gonna do with this? You can't do nothing. I couldn't even, actually, I tried to get a phone and they wouldn't give me the phone. And I was like, why? What do you mean you want to give me the phone? Well, you got a really bad credit score. I'm sorry, we can't put this phone under your name. I was pissed. I left there pissed. I tried to figure it out, and that's when somebody was like, yo, you got to check your credit score, right? So it's really important that you understand this if you want a phone under your name, something as simple as that, right? So that's when I started really being like, oh, snap. And what was it? It was like my checking account that was in an overdraft for 2 months and like silly little things like that, $2 overdraft. It's being reported back to the credit bureau, right? So then I paid that off, right? Then there was like an old phone bill from like 1992 that was still under my name that was like ruining my credit. It was like up to like almost $300 and something because for 5 years I just left it and they never wiped it off my credit history. So then I had to pay that off. Then boom, 6 months later, my credit score is up to 500 and something. And I'm like, okay, right? So it can improve, right? Now my credit score, I'll be honest with you, is 650. It ain't nothing sparkly, you know, but hey, I can rent a car if I want to. I can have a phone under my name if I want to, right? There's lots of things that I can do now that it's at 650 and it's not anywhere near as high as 900. So recovery is possible. So things like payment history, credit use, account age. So like I was saying, even if you've got like a checking account that you opened up a couple years ago, that's being recorded, right? Okay, so next slide. So this is so you guys have this in your handout. It's one of the other handouts, so you can kind of look over it and understand how and more in depth how this all really really goes. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because we got other stuff to get through. But you got the language here, which is what is really important to understand at this point in time, right? So payment, so how this works is basically your payment history, 35% of your score that's reported goes to payment history. Credit use, we'll talk about that in another slide. Length of history is 15%. Types of credit. So if you've got a checking account, you've got a Visa, and which you should not have, which is the worst, a money mart loan or something, that's all going to be taken into credit, how they calculate your score, right? So next slide. Right, again, so one of the areas to really understand, I think, right now is the credit utilization, right? And it's basically a ratio. So if you got $1,000, if you spend $900, your credit use is 90%. That's too high. The bank's gonna be like, oh, like you're not managing your money properly. Or the credit bureau is gonna be like, you're not managing your money properly, right? If you spend $300 out of that $1,000, then it's 30%. That's much better. Now, if you spend $100 out of that $1,000, that's 10%. That's like, oh, all right, this person can manage their money. So let's say you get a Visa, it's $1,000, you buy whatever, let's say you buy something, a variable expense. So what would that be? Does anybody want to answer what a variable expense would be? Food? Okay. Clothes, yes, exactly, right? So let's say you buy a nice fit going out, nah. You better pay that off. You want to pay that off, wipe it out, because now we're looking at your credit utilization. So if you spend $200, right, that's going to land in between these two ratios here, right? If you spend $500, then, you're getting into a range that's too high. And when it comes back to looking at your credit report, let's say you want to buy a car and you want to get a lease on a car when you're turn 21 or something. So then you might want to start thinking about these things a couple years in advance of how that all really works and taking it in. And it doesn't happen overnight. Like, I didn't understand this overnight. That took me a little while, okay? Yeah. All right, next slide. So there's different types of credit. We got prepaid Visa. So that's basically, prepaid Visa is like, you can get any one of those. That's like from Shoppers Drug Mart, you go get a prepaid Visa, right? That's secure, but it's not really doing nothing for you, right? It's just, you can buy stuff online, great. A secured credit card is a little bit different. That's basically where you take your $500, you go into the bank, you want to say, I want a secured credit card. Basically, it operates like a Visa. You can use it like a Visa, but it's building your credit and you're not really borrowing the money from the bank. It's your own money. The only thing with this is, though, it is now tracking your usage. So even though it's your money, right, you put your $500 on a secured Visa, it's really a tool that is used for you to build your credit. So maybe some of y'all don't even have credit, right? This is a great, and you're now you got a budget, right? So now you're like, oh, okay, I can kind of do this. I got 500. Let me see how I manage my $500. So this would be a good place to kind of try to build credit if you needed to. Student credit cards, those are shifty, man. Those are who, did somebody say, you have, I got a student credit card. That was shifty business. So we're gonna get into another slide where it kind of breaks down the interest rates because they don't really explain this kind of stuff. But, if you go to school, you get an OSAP, it's like, oh, boom. If you get OSAP, that means you're borrowing money from the government, which means you've entered into an agreement that your credit history is going to be tracked and that you have to pay this money back, right? Because of that, the bank's like, oh, yeah, now you qualify to have a student visa. So now you got your OSAP, then somebody tries on, one of those frosh weeks, right? And like there's like the BMO outside, and there's apply for a visa, easy, bro, because you want to know what your credit, what they're going to be charging you, right? So if you miss a payment, where it goes to the credit bureau, and you have to pay. Some credit cards have missed payment fees, and some credit cards the interest rate goes up. Next slide, please. Right. So you want to try and pay the full balance off monthly. We talked about secured cards and student cards. Now, what I do want to talk about though is paying your bills on time, right? And what I would say is a lot of these places, they tell you, oh, sign up for automatic payments. If you're not working a consistent job, I wouldn't suggest personally, unless you're very, very organized with yourself, to set up an automatic payment. Because an automatic payment doesn't care if you're 1 cent off. It doesn't care. That means you missed a payment. So let's say you forget, you're out, whatever, you're thirsty, you're dying of thirst, you need a bottle of water, you go, you buy that bottle of water, boom. Then your automatic payment comes out and you're off $1. Now, the bank is gonna charge you $45 for your missed payment. Not only is the bank gonna charge you, but whatever was withdrawing the payment, let's say it's YouTube, automatic payment, right? Subscription, right? So you're gonna get paid, you're gonna get dinged $45 by the bank for missing your payment, and you're gonna get dinged $45 from YouTube for missing your payment. What's the math? That's $100 you're out because you have an NSF fee, which is a non-sufficient funds. So my thing that I did was like, I just put in my phone when I had to pay the bill a few days before. And then that means I was on ding, 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 ding. So look, oh shoot, I gotta e-transfer the money, make sure it's there. Right? And that way I never get an NSF fee, and I did get NSF fees, and that's why I'm like, I don't know about that, because $100, if you can't pay, like if you get an NSF fee and it's $100, now you're out $100. And the next month you still gotta pay that subscription. So it's like now you gotta pay the $100 plus the subscription that you didn't pay before, plus the NSF fees, plus the next month. So yeah, it's a whole lot of stuff that you gotta be careful about that. So I just wanted to share that. All right, next slide. Anybody have any questions about anything so far? I'm kind of whizzing through it. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a bit of a clarification on when your credit gets reported to the bureau versus when you pay the full amount. So let's say you're paid, let's say the money is due on the 30th, right?
Mm-hmm.
You pay on the 30th, and let's say on the first you spend $900, and then the $900 is the one that's going to get reported. Because there's
A payment.
the amount of time they give you between your last payment, your last full payment. I think it's like 8 days or so. And then that's when it gets reported to the credit bureau. So you have to be very careful on when you're making the payment that you want to make. You could like spend the $900 after the reporting period.
Yes.
Like a week
Yeah.
after you pay.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right.
So
And I'm
that's
wondering
just
if
something that
Harpreet, if
we
you want to
stuck
touch
by,
on
but
that.
that's very, very important.
Yeah.
Because that's where the utilization comes in. Because if you spend $900 the next day, then the utilization is going to be like 90%. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
very-
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that honestly, a lot of people don't even know that the institutions report to the credit bureau on a weekly basis. So for us, we only get the reports on a monthly basis, but they're actually reporting on a weekly basis. So even if you make, for example, if you owe $200 and you split the $200 2 times 100, like within that same billing cycle. So let's say if you're owing it on the 30th, but you pay $100 on the 15th, and then you pay another $100 on the 26th, that actually helps to boost your credit score just a little bit more because they're actually reporting more frequently than you should know.
And just to say about checking and credit, I want you to know that there are 2 types of credit checks. There's one called a soft pull, and that's not reported, and that's what you can pull to identify your credit score. And you can do that as many times as you want. It does not impact, meaning it doesn't decrease your scores. But if a bank, if anyone you're trying to seek credit from, so if you're going to phone stores, Roger offers a plan, you want to try to get the new iPhone, you want to get it on monthly service fees, and they check your credit, that's a pull. That will reduce. If you get too many of those in a month, you can take a 700 credit score down to a 400 in the span of a month just by not utilizing your credit right or getting it pulled too many times in a short amount of time. So I say if you're going to be doing any credit, no more than twice a year, because you will reduce it. Even if you're denied, you're still impacting your credit score.
Yeah, no, thank you, Brandy. Actually, that's a really good point. And just to back up what you were saying is knowing the difference between a hard pull and a soft pull, right? Like when if you're going to check out to get an iPhone, ask them, are you doing a hard pull or a soft pull? Because if you're doing a hard pull, you got to now think if it's worth it that you want that reported to your credit bureau. If how bad you really want that. If you're just going to figure out what the details are, then you don't need a hard pull, right? But thank you both of you for bringing those things up.
Just
Yeah.
to add to that as well, honestly, if any institution is checking your credit score, it's always going to be a hard pull.
Yeah.
The only way that there's 2 exceptions to the rule, if you're looking to buy a car or if you're applying for a mortgage, if you do, let's say for example, if you're looking for a car loan and you look for 3 different institutions to borrow money from within the same 30-day window, it's counted as 1 credit check. But if you pass that 30-day window, then it counts as 2. Same applies with a mortgage, but those are the only exceptions. It'll always be a hard pull from an institution.
Thank you, everybody. So now this is also in the printout, right? So this is just a little bit of an explanation about the interest rate that would be like if you're approached by RBC on F.L.E.S.H week to get a visa, right? So basically, this is the breakdown of how you would calculate it. And this applies to like all visas. Sometimes it's 19.99%, and that's basically the annual interest rate, basically, right? So if you owe $500, the annual interest rate is 19.99. You may only need to pay the $10 would be the minimum. But how that works is basically the interest is charged monthly. So you divide that by 12, and then this is the number that you get. So now you take your $500 and you times it by that one fraction for the month. And what you really have is $508.35. So if you only pay the minimum of $10, you've really only paid off like $2 on your debt and not very much. So always try to think about that if you're going to look for a visa or even thinking about buying a car. Like you got to think about how to calculate those rates. So I just want to kind of touch on like, I think in the printout, there should be compound interest as well, how you break that down. So for sake of time, I'm not going to go into too much of that. We can get into more details if we do another workshop about some of these things. But the basics really is there's bank loans, there's line of credits. You have to understand that those are different than visas. Those are a different way of functioning. They have compounded interest. So the interest is more than just having like a regular visa. And what I really want to touch base on is try as much as you can to stay away from payday loans because they are super duper 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 easy to access, but their interest rate is like, see where I showed there's 19.99, like a payday loan is like 35.75. It's much, much higher amount of money that you end up having to pay back. And so for the example there, if you borrow $500, then you end up having to pay like $650. And usually these payday loans, you have to pay every 2 weeks because they assume you're getting paid every 2 weeks from your job, right? So that's actually a ton of money. So I really honestly just want y'all to know those things are really horrible to come out of if you've never accessed them before because of the interest rate is so high. And if you miss a payment, where does it go? Right to your credit bureau. And it's the worst thing to dig yourself out of, right? It has literally destroyed lives. So I would suggest try to stay to that. Try to stay away from the payday loans, Money Mart, like all of those cash money, all of those quick fix loans. Now you know, you pull out your little sheet and you look and calculate that interest rate, right? How much it's really gonna be. Now you know, you don't walk into that blindly because that can sink you for many, many years to come into your adulthood. And it'll stop you from getting a car. Payday loans will stop you from getting a car, a home, a cell phone, lots of things, right? Next slide. Yeah. So that is it. That was a lot to take in. Is there any questions? And we can always be reached. Just, I know that was a lot, but I just wanted to touch base on some basic things so you could see the lingo, see the numbers, know that it's easy, and have the spreadsheets. We're gonna move on now to Business 101 stuff. All right, and you can always come and link us later.
What are you doing? I know it's a lot of information. I think here's good. I did want to, just as our name suggests, we are not just financial literacy, we combined it with entrepreneurship. And why entrepreneurship is really, really important is because we usually do it and we don't even realize we're doing it. We just don't say it as or call it as it, and we don't act like we're doing it, but we already are. And to give you an example of this, if anyone in here can do makeup, if anyone in here can do hair, if some of you guys in here are styling, I see somebody coming in looking like he's going for a job interview or a corporate, you understand? If you're good, if you're really talented and you're good at putting pieces of clothing together, if you're really good at supporting people, encouraging people, maybe you can sing, maybe you can dance, maybe you can sew. Those are all businesses, thriving businesses with industries that make millions and millions of dollars. So here, Business Registration 101. How many people in here are over the age of 18? Okay, so we've got a few, okay? How many are 16 and 17? Okay, a few, okay. Okay, so anybody who's not quite 18, obviously to register a business, because if there's a signing of a contract, you must be 18 years of age. But it doesn't mean that you can't start thinking like a business before you turn 18. Keep that in mind, okay? So in order to establish a business, you need to figure out what type of structure, because there's several types of different businesses. You need to figure out which one is right for you. Before you do that, step one is defining a business name, right? If you were to think of something like, my name is Brandy's Salon, Brandy's Waffle House, anything like that, anything you want to call your business, you need a name to distinguish you from everyone else in the marketplace, okay? But to do that, because go ahead.
Is there a registry for this?
Correct. Yep, correct. You got it, and that's called NONS Canada. So they've linked their service now with Corporations Canada. Before they were separate, but it's only $13.80 to do a name search check to make sure the name is available. And it's good because there's thousands of different businesses in Canada. You don't want to get all ready to do all of these things, print out business cards, get flyers, and all of a sudden, you find out you can't use the name, or you get a cease and dismiss order in the mail saying you're using a name that you don't have permission or authorization to use. So the first step is a name search, and you do it online. We can help you out if you are interested and you wanted to check names, you can, but there is two parts to that. Never put into the national, because it's a national database, it's a depository. So it saves information. If you are not going to register that name, you put it in the depository. Now, anyone else who's applying for even something similar, it will show your name. So I always tell everyone, if you're not planning to register within at least 90-day period, don't do a name search with that name, okay? Now, if you were to do a name search, Nike's got 75,000 trademarks, anything that looks and sounds like it, to avoid competition, right? Protect their intellectual property. But now we talk about the name. Now we got to talk about what type of business and what structure. So our first one is we have sole proprietorship. And like the name suggests, sole, one owner, only one. Can be Brandy's Salon. That's me. I'm the owner. I don't work with anybody else. I'm not a corporation. I don't have partners. And that's my space. I want to set my own prices. I don't want to employ anyone else. That's just mine there. Sole proprietorship. That requires a master business license, and you can get it from $80 online. The next one is the corporation, and you can file two ways. you can file your corporation federally or provincially. So provincially, obviously, you are asking for permission to operate within the province that you live in. Federally covers all provinces across Canada, and they have different reporting structures and requirements. It's actually easier to incorporate federally in terms of paperwork and requirements than it is provincially, but we'll get further into that if you are thinking about registering a business. But there are different types of corporations, okay? Now, remember how I said sole proprietor is one owner? Corporation can be one owner too. Isn't that interesting? The only difference between a corporation with one owner and a sole proprietorship is just taxes. That's it. The way they're looked at and the liability. So as a sole proprietor, you are responsible for 100% damages and any type of lawsuits. You're not separate. You are the same. Brandy's hair salon is Brandy. So if my hair salon is making $100,000 a year and I get sued, and I have a house, I have a car, I have nice pictures, I've got rings, I've got jewelry, whoever is suing me can take all of my assets because the sole proprietor, which is me, the one owner, is not separate from my salon. But a corporation is, even though there's only one owner. And this is why you gotta love rich, greedy white men who came up with, it was a way for them to protect. Remember, we weren't into business. We weren't allowed to own anything. So this wasn't for our benefit, but we can use it for our benefit now, okay? So, right, so that one owner of the corporation just has to occupy all positions of the board. They have to be the treasurer. They've got to be the board secretary. They've got to be, the chair and the vice chair. I know it sounds weird, but it's actually more easier to do it because we set up all organizations like that until people grow their team. So it is easy. It's just about paperwork. There are different tax implications in terms of paperwork and maintaining requirements, but they're all essentially the same thing. So, and then out of corporations, like I said, there was the sole owner of the corporation, but there's also not-for-profit, there's for-profit, and then there's social enterprises. Very three different things, but very similar. For-profit corporations have shareholders that they pay out the profits to. So Nike is sold on the public exchange, but they have high dividends that are paid out to their share owners, right? Versus we are we're not public, we're a public organization, but we're not for profit. It doesn't mean we can't make a profit, because people always think that you're not allowed to make anything. That's a lie. It just sounds tricky because it's in the name. It just means that 90% of our income is reinvested back into the community. So to cover the cost of programs, of services, of helping keep the city well and, upheld. Good. So that's it. So when we talk about the structures, the other one is the social enterprise. And that's another thing that rich, wealthy people have done, because they realize, well, hey, what if I have something that I want to have the tax breaks like I'm a not-for-profit, but I want to break the rules and I don't want to pay as much taxes, so I still want to be able to get funding and I still want to be able to investment, but I also want to give back some to the community, but I also want to pay shareholders. So that's when they came up with social enterprise. It's basically a dual business model. It's a shared identity between a not-for-profit and a for-profit under one house. They just have different avenues within the one organization. Hopefully I've cleared that up. So there are different registration requirements, there's timelines, there's responsibilities, and the question at the end is, who here would be considered or be willing to consider starting their own business? Just a show of hands. Okay, nice, okay, good turnout, all right. Okay, we'll be making appointments. No, okay, next slide, please. All right. Ooh, I didn't think it showed up like that on the screen. I do apologize. So as we are here and we're talking about the business structure, I want you to take note to the informal and the formal Like I said, sole proprietorships, another one is partnerships. Partnerships is exactly as it sounds. It's one or more people coming together. So you and your best friend, you and your boyfriend, you and your cousin, you and your mama coming together to start the business together. Now, again, there are very different situations that impact both. There are pros and cons to each of these setups. We also have, we talked about the corporation, we talked about the partnership, the limited liability company. And the reason why I put the LLC here is because we hear about it all the time, all over TikTok, because, you know, we're always Americanized with everything. LLC everywhere. And people think, oh, I want to have an LLC. Mm-hmm. Can you hit to the next slide, please? Thank you. Perfect. And I'll tell you why sorry, I thought the next slide was something else. But the reason why I put the LLC there, even though you cannot file or operate an LLC in Canada because we don't have that structure, but you can if you want to operate in the United States. So you just can't operate with that title in Canada. But what a lot of organizations do is they have their main branch as an LLC in the United States, and then they open up a second branch here as a corporation. Okay, so there's always little things around things that you can do. So just to quickly run through some of the pros and the cons of a partnership model. Now remember, this is coming from the sole proprietor. If you were the sole proprietor and you ran it all by yourself, you get to make all of the decisions. You get to choose if you want to hire people, if you don't want to hire people. You get to choose the name, the colors, the logo, everything. And you don't have to worry about like filing the major tax regulations every year. With corporations, there's a lot of paperwork, but that's because a lot of your income is tax sheltered and you're protected. So that's why they do a lot of scrutiny with it. But like I said, with the sole proprietorship, if you get sued, they can take everything from you. It is the most high risk entity that you can create. But again, if you're safe, you're smart, you have insurance, you're in it for the right reasons, there's no reason why you can't do it that way. But in terms of the partnership now, it is less independent because you have a partner. There's a potential room for conflict. What if you and this person stop getting along? You now have a legal business to operate, and you guys are both owners. You can't just walk away and say, I never want to talk to the person again. It's like having a child, to be honest. Running a business is like having a child that you have to watch for the rest of its life, right? You have to divide the profits, and there's a lack of separation from the business and both the owners, and whatever both owners take out are taxed as individual. So it's almost like being taxed twice, because the money was already taxed. Now the owner's taxed, and now you're taxed. Two owners taxed, one out of one dividend return, or with withdrawing one set of money. So that's where it gets a little complicated. But again, if you don't want to do it all by yourself, maybe someone else has the knowledge that you don't have. Maybe you need another set of hands to empower you and to support you. Then why not do it, right? Next slide. Corporations. So the pros, like I said, complete liability protection. No matter how much money you make, corporations have really great insurance. And because you're a corporation and nobody solely owns the corporation, even though the shareholders control it, and even though they make all the money off the dividends, technically, if an owner was to die tomorrow, the corporation would still live on, right? So because there are other people that are helping to organize it. So that's the reason why it's just easier to get credit. It's easier to attract investors. It's faster to grow in size because of that because of the limited liability. It is an ideal way to set up your business. It protects you and keeps you safe. But with that, unfortunately, it comes with a lot of paperwork. There are several requirements that you have to do to meet, and you have to maintain every year to be incorporated. Filing your taxes on time, filling out all the documents, changing your address. There's certain requirements of what type of address you can use. Nobody that sits on the board can have a criminal record. There are real strict conditions, but it is the safest entity to have. And if you can abide by that, then you're probably better off. There is extensive record keeping, including bookkeeping, but we'll get into that later down the line. Next slide, please. The LLCs, remember I said not available in Canada, but Canadians can register to do it if they're going to do business in the US market. Why is that important? Well, because America has the largest economy for North America, and we tend to do most of our business with the US. We're buying our products in the US. I don't know if anybody has researched buying any type of supplies or stuff. I tried to get stuff from the United States, and as a Canadian business, it was very challenging. I did use a third party who had an LLC, which made everything smoother. So for those reasons, I included the LLC. This is, I believe, we can send that out to them if they need to see that information. Okay, I think that's good. Do you want to hit to the next slide? And I will pass this over to Jules.
And this we're gonna run through quick because I mean, again, we're almost. Oh my gosh, as the Jamaicans say, G's and P's right now. So we're like at 6:55. We don't have a lot of time. So let me do one thing first. I'm one of those people. I'm very weird. So just prepare for that right now. First thing I would love to do is like just a quick affirmation. I just want you to repeat after me. I am smart. I am blessed. I can do anything. Okay, yo, if this is church, I didn't feel that at all. I felt like that was whatever. One more time. I am smart. I am blessed. I can do anything. Okay, one last time. I am smart. I am blessed. I can do anything. Please make sure you write that down. You say it to yourself. This has been things that we have to remind ourselves, okay, when we walk into spaces, especially when we talk about finance. These are things that it's not just about money. How you see yourself in value makes a difference. So the idea of when I'm saying, I am smart, I am blessed, I can do anything, walk with that mentality, all right? Now, in the meantime, I'm going to go really quick into this because I feel at the end of the day, what I'm going to do is I'll just, you know what, while I'm doing that, I might have there's a contact sheet somewhere. It's on the side, but before everyone leaves, I just want to make sure we get your name, number, name, last name, and like your email. Sorry, the number is, yeah, right there. So we can I'm gonna just have people pass this down as we're doing it. Can I start from this end? And hey, if you feel you don't want it to, it's cool too. The main thing is we're just gonna send extra information to you, resources. So how grants work, does anybody know about grants in general? Okay, that's fair. I didn't know too much about it. So back in my timeline, which some of you call the 1900s, what's it called? We used to, again, be involved in projects. So in regards to what grants are in general, it's basically what's called donation. Say donations? Can I kind of say donations? It's giving money from the government that are based in projects when it comes to, say, creative arts. It can also be in terms of business, based on what that business is. Like, for example, great example is if you do hair, nails, whatever. I'll speak a little bit in myself in terms of music. So there are grants that, has anybody known the Toronto Arts Council? That's something to take in. There's also what we have like Laidlaw Foundation. These grants basically in these, these actual programs are meant for you. That means that when you do apply for these programs with these organizations, the money is yours to, I shouldn't say yours to keep as much as they give the money to you, but there needs to be a mandate that you've given them that you approved for, that you follow through on. But essentially, you're getting the money, it's not coming back at you. They're not here to collect. So the reality is what I'm gonna do is as soon as this is over and you guys write down the emails, I'll make sure that it's sent your way, just a few examples of grants that you can take in. But I'm gonna do something really quick that will probably take about 2 minutes. So like just if you flip the side of your paper, my question to you, and yeah, just the back of your paper, And the question I'm asking to you, which is up here, right here, is so just imagine whatever you want to do, whatever you want to try. If I was that organization, I'll give you about 2 minutes quick. Just something quick that if you were to pitch to me, something that you'd want to do, whether that be is like, I want to be an artist and I want to create like a studio, a lab. I want to do, I want to have my own barbershop, whatever. Just put that idea down really quickly. And I want to just see that in a sentence, like if it was like to be a pitch, all right? Am I making sense, sort of? It's something quick, so I'll just give you like a minute or two. You can talk amongst your friends or whatnot. And that idea is just to kind of just open up your mind for 2 seconds, all right? The idea is if there was unlimited money, unlimited resource, I am that organization, what would you pitch to me? In a sentence or two, what would that idea be? And it can be any idea, especially for, again, some of us. I think at the end of the day, there are a lot of things that we'd like to try, and sometimes the bank is not always there with you. Sometimes it's not always a thing where they just see the vision. What I love about these granting opportunities is that there are organizations dedicated to you that will allow your dream to be accomplished, all right? So I'll give you like 2 minutes. I feel like I'm putting on Jeopardy music, but I think you know stuff. So I'll give you a minute, 2 minutes, just to like talk amongst yourself, a pitch, anything you want, it doesn't matter. And I probably will put someone on the spot just to read me that pitch. All right? And the money's unlimited. Opportunity's unlimited. Just let me know that. Oh, snap. We're like on the time. Okay. So yeah, we'll definitely do 2 minutes because we are touching that time. Yeah. Is it cool if I... Oh, thank you so much. Not bad. Like, it's great to know that I only had to do 2 seconds. But I'll never do work, right? No, you did. You did great. You did great. I just know as soon as I saw the time, listen, once I'm a guy beside me, I'm like, no, it's time for us to skedaddle, as we say. But hold on, I'm gonna have them do this aspiration one more time after. Yeah. Yeah. I'll give you about like 30 more seconds and then we'll get to it. And again, thank you guys for coming on. We really appreciate it. Sarah, I don't see no paper beside you. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. Is that contact sheet still being passed around? Okay, thank God. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. All right. Should I clock it? Yeah? Were you talking to me? Oh, respect, bro. No, don't lie. Yo, I just like, shing. I just look crazy quick time. I appreciate it. No, yours look good, bro. This is like, so I don't have to show my hair, bro. I'll just put the hat on top. But if you already know, if it looks clean like a shave, we always look dapper. It fits you. But don't steal my style, eh? I was saying, you know what? I won't hate. We got this, okay? Each one teach me, yeah. All right. Oh, snap. We're still ready. Okay. I'll give you 30 more seconds. That works.
Were they only supposed to say what they want?
No, they have to tell us why they want it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why you want that? Because I see a lot of like when I just walk.
You know what? That's okay too. That's okay. Whether it is what you want or why you want, that's okay. That's okay. But that's what.
Maybe that wasn't clear.
And this is what I asked you guys, but I'm just saying, it's no biggie. Because I do realize, especially with time, we're so rushed that, and they deserve to go home because I know. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. And whoever drew that, please, I want to keep those drawings though, please. Yeah. I see some of you have been drawing while this workshop's been going, and please I want to keep some of these so I can take it for myself and say I did it. But that's also a joke. Yeah? Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up just about now. Are we all feeling good? We're okay? Okay, so I'm gonna at least ask 2 volunteers. Does anybody want to volunteer? Right? Listen, I was gonna say. All right, so my conglomerate right here. So I'm gonna ask you just to tell us out loud. So everyone just give my guy, what's your name, sorry, man? What's your name, sir? Adil. So Adil's gonna just give us his idea, whether the why or the what. And we're just gonna give him that attention, okay?
I said I want to make a perfume company.
Hey, listen. We're not knocking. Why are you knocking that? I got perfume on me right now, bro. Continue, sir.
I want to be the next Dior. So proud.
Love it. I love it. All right? And some of you can think, yo, by the way, what he's talking about is something that's easy at this. So, hey, hold that down. That's an example right there. Right? Yo, what is making fun of it or not, bro? I'm telling you, that thing I showed you right there, Kensington Market, for example, there's a full rack where they just put the incense, they put actual perfumes and stuff. So you smell nice. You roll it on yourself, you're good to go. That's not a place. They sell that at $8 to $20 to $15 a pop. So please, that's no joke. That's Kensington Market. So please get your entrepreneur on. Can I get one more volunteer? As I look to this side, yo, I know everyone just look down. Like, but what are you looking at? The pizza that's eating? Right? Oh, you know, ladies, can I have one of you? Yeah. I'll let it go because we have a camaraderie. So I got you. Ladies, can I have one of you? Just like, don't feel embarrassed. We're all here. And hey, no laugh, nothing. I like that. Yo, I like this. So let's hear that. Let's see that venture. Can we hear that joint venture? And don't worry, it's just an idea. It's just an idea. Nobody's wrong in this room. And yo, are you too shy? Should I read it for you? Fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it.
So we want to own a female-run bakery.
Okay. Yeah. Yo, you guys are acting? Yeah, continue, please.
Because it's cutesy.
Yeah, it's cutesy, and first of all, in this economy, everything's very pricey. So we
Yes.
want to run a bakery which is very affordable, not just all talk, and anyone could afford it.
Just trying to give back to the community.
I love it. Hey, boy, please. I feel like you're about to say something, but I didn't mean to cut you. What were you going to say? Oh, was it? Okay. And I mean, that's perfect, by the way. Thank you for sharing that. And I mean, I'm sure maybe we should do that too, is add that in. But there are some places, for example, that do for, like, so for example, again, that are like, based on the idea you're saying, whether it be for our people, by our people, for our people type of initiative. For example, even up where we are, Daniel Spectrum, there is like is it family based? I'm not too sure.
Oh, the cafe?
Yeah.
The Root Burger?
Yeah, the Root Burger. So like it's inside Daniel Spectrum for those. I know you guys know it's just one walk up, but they have that kind of initiative too. It's not just female owned though, I think it's just family, but nonetheless. But hey, thank you so much for the 1-2 pitches. Please, if you yeah, what? Please, yo. What's your name, sir? Samir. Okay, Samir, let's get it.
Basically, one of my dreams is to like own my own like private equity firm.
What?
Basically,
Big thing.
So basically, buy up companies and flip them, and
Yo, give it up to Samir. Yo, I'm loving this, man. Okay. Something y'all weren't paying attention, but you guys were paying attention. Okay, I love this. So please, I want to make sure the fact that you wrote it on the back of your sheet, so even if you didn't say anything right now, please just kind of look at that and keep that as something just, for the sake of remembering some of the reasons why, again, we get into these type of conversations when it comes to financial literacy. These things can fuel our dreams. But it starts also with you having something that you want to do. So thank you for sharing that. Again, I'll make sure after the fact we send more information, but I know we're touching that time. But I'm going to have you guys say one more time with me, though. I'm going to make sure. I am smart. I am blessed. I can do anything. Wrap it up. Okay.